Reposez. Ça. Repos.
Et par ailleurs, voilà, l'égalité entre lycéens et producteurs, ils veulent ou pas? Ils disent qu'il va être ça dans 15 minutes.
La communauté, la communauté.
Ouais, mais ça, c'est parce que...
Et alors
je veux tout bien.
maintenant temps de rejoindre vos places, s'il vous plaît, y compris pour les officiels, y compris pour les évêques et les prêtres. Merci de rejoindre vos places, d'éteindre vos téléphones afin que nous puissions commencer. Merci de vous asseoir, s'il vous plaît. We would like to take 6 days as we are ready to begin the service. Por favor, toma asiento ahora mismo. Rejoindre vos places.
Bonjour messieurs. Ça va? On passe par là?
blanc, ensuite le marron.
Oui.
Et blanche. On va organiser ça.
Merci messieurs, dames. Hein. Vous allez bien?
Mais parce que vous n'envoyez pas d'œuvres à fin de vous l'avez pas fait pour les Olympiques et vous l'avez pas
Alors,
fait.
on a d'autres...
pas être autant impliqué dans la réalisation des Olympiques. Il a fait un grand document.
Il faut relâcher.
Oui.
C'est le patriarche.
Merci à tous. Merci beaucoup. Ça va?
Il est présenté?
Paul, tu leur dis avec le jeu. Allez Frédéric, va te mettre plus loin Frédéric. Mets-toi plus loin, après la maison.
Oui, je prends avec les autres. Bien sûr, je m'en occupe. Monsieur le Président, Madame.
Bien, Monsieur le Président. Frédéric, il faut dire aux gens, Frédéric, vous avez les possibilités.
Les gars. Bloquez-vous s'il vous plaît. Essayez de vous asseoir. Vous êtes dans les champs. Essayez de... Merci.
Je suis désolé, je... Il y a madame.
Voilà.
C'est une merveilleuse nouvelle.
Avec leur conjoint.
Venez.
Comme ça. Attention, attention.
Et venez avec moi. Venez sur la suite.
Merci beaucoup.
Vous êtes bonsoir, madame. Bonsoir. Venez avec moi.
Je vais aller chercher.
Ouais. Non, non, attends.
La famille.
Ah, bien sûr.
Voilà, soyez là.
On est là, c'est ça. La pluie, c'est toujours bon signe.
C'est très bon signe.
La pluie, attention.
Vous allez bien? Bonsoir. S'il vous plaît.
Thank you.
Par ici, c'est juste là. Voilà. Bon, vous êtes avec... Ah, c'est de ce côté-là.
Alors il faut que les caméras et les photos sont faites. Voilà. Je vous laisse avancer, madame, merci.
Par ici, s'il vous plaît, on va monter devant les spectacles. Non, je vous aide, Bravo. Par ici, madame.
Merci infiniment. Tenez. Oh, regardez. Venez, madame. Merci beaucoup. Yeah. Normally it's a cathedral.
She's 8 years old, and she was very angry with me for leaving.
Le président est là.
Oui, il va vous accueillir.
Monsieur le Président, s'il vous plaît.
Bonsoir, madame, vous allez bien? Bougez pas, merci la promotion. Vous allez bien? Vous allez bien?
Merci, monsieur.
S'il vous plaît.
Félicitations. Ils attendent parce qu'il y en a encore.
I was informed. You took the wrong decision. Please.
Yes, I said yes.
Thank you. See you later.
Monsieur le Président, s'il vous plaît. Ouais.
Oui, là.
Unfortunately, the weather is a little bit here coming to give respect regarding restoration.
Standing right, yes.
Par ici. Près des gardes.
Bien, pardon.
Portez. Sam.
Ça c'est le premier que je ne sais pas ce que ça donne à l'image. C'était Catherine Desbarres qu'on avait créé.
Yes, I want to reassure you normally a little bit hotter in the cathedral. We will not.
Oui, justement, c'est pour ça que...
Ça va? Vous n'avez pas trop froid?
Pas de 14, pas de 14.
On est d'accord.
Comment?
Je pas nous approcher. Je sais même pas si vous... Ouais. Vous êtes, oui, vous êtes toujours à la résidence. C'est l'Ukraine, vous êtes toujours à la résidence. D'accord, vous êtes où? Ok, très bien. Super, on vous attend. Merci, à tout de suite, bye. Je parle très vite, merci. Ils sont...
Lui, il va me dire.
Je sais pas qui va vouloir m'en parler. Tu le fais, tu as le temps.
Thanks so much. No, it means that it's about. Oh, thanks so
Monsieur,
much.
please.
Je reste, mais je vais bouger.
We still all friendship good enough. Thanks so much.
Encore une fois, Monsieur le Président, encore une fois, d'accord, s'il vous plaît.
Ah, yes, le photographe. Regarde le photographe. Le photographe. Là. Qu'est-ce que c'est? We need it. Yes, that's it.
William.
Bonjour madame.
Christmas is there. It is. No, I'm not sure Christmas is there for last week.
Par ici, votre Altesse. Merci. Vous êtes au camp, comme être ministre. madame derrière. Voilà.
Bonsoir.
Merci pour ce magnifique, cette magnifique c'est un moment
I try to support
Non, tu touches pas. Do you want us to hold the umbrella or not?
La délégation.
Oui, il y a le trait.
Ah, je peux pas passer là-bas. Ils sont tous sortis. Ouais.
Patrick, which way?
We're going through that one.
Bien de Paris, par ici.
Le reste, ça passe pas, c'est ça.
Monsieur le Président. Il a fait un stop. Il va arriver à la fin là.
I don't use this place.
Qu'est-ce que c'est
Yeah.
On laisse les photographes, je vais me faire un masse par cœur.
Attendez, elle est où? Il y a l'ambassade aussi.
Are you going to leave? We're good?
Welcome. We're going to go this way.
Okay.
Right. Let me be a little bit ahead of you. Be careful with the steps.
I'll just.
You want to?
I got you.
Right
Oh,
here.
you got me. Thank you. Right with me?
Right behind you.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Right behind you, love.
Mesdames.
Thanks.
Venez.
Hi. Ashley. Oh. Oh, no worries.
How are you going?
Frères et sœurs, entrons maintenant dans Notre Dame. C'est elle qui nous rassemble. C'est elle que nous aimons. C'est elle qui nous accompagne sur notre chemin vers le Père. Source de toute vie, par Jésus-Christ, lumière née de la lumière, dans la force de l'Esprit Saint, consolateur. Notre-Dame, modèle de la foi, ouvre tes portes pour rassembler dans la joie les enfants de Dieu dispersés. Notre-Dame, Mère très aimante, ouvre tes portes pour nous aider à chercher l'amour et la vérité, la justice et la paix. Notre-Dame, témoin de l'espérance, ouvre tes portes pour que brille sur nos vies la lumière de la miséricorde et que resplendisse à nos yeux la victoire de la résurrection.
Voici
Attends, elle se penche, elle va tomber.
J'ai vu des flammes entre les deux tours, c'était vraiment sidérant. Je pense voilà. Et là, finalement, 3 heures après, c'est un peu la désolation et la tristesse parce qu'on s'aperçoit que ça brûle toujours.
Iconic landmark, and now it's gone-ish, and it's very upsetting to hear.
It's shocking, absolutely shocking. Comment ils vont rebâtir, comment ils vont redonner cette touche très très ancienne à cette pièce vraiment incroyable.
Bonjour à tous. Reconstruire, c'est donc le mot du jour.
5 ans pour reconstruire Notre-Dame, c'est le délai très court annoncé hier soir à la télévision par le chef de l'État.
J'ai décidé de donner un horizon court parce que j'étais convaincu.
History. Today, the world is watching as this iconic cathedral reopens its doors 5 years after that catastrophic fire that nearly destroyed it. Destroyed so much of it. So many feared that this day would never actually come. Rebuilding it, as you know, a daunting task, from stone workers to carpenters, stained glass artists, legions of others, roughly 2,000 in fact, painstakingly bringing the sacred space back to life, some even using medieval techniques that started when the first stone was laid here in Paris back in the year 1163. And now it's rebirth. Leaders, distinguished guests from across the globe gathering for today's opening ceremonies. Leaders including the President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, back on the world stage ahead of taking office. This was the scene a short time ago, the President-elect being greeted by President Emmanuel Macron. Also in attendance here tonight, surprising some, the world's richest man, tech billionaire, Elon Musk, now a very close Trump confidant as well. And the last distinguished guest to enter Notre Dame tonight, First Lady Jill Biden, likely one of the First Lady's last official trips overseas. She is joined inside by her daughter, Ashley Biden, as well. Over the next hour, we will be guiding you through these ceremonies, the pageantry, the traditions that you'll see here today. President Macron, of course, will be leading these proceedings. He'll be paying tribute to the symbolic role of Notre Dame in the history of France. Again, as we watch Dr. Biden and her daughter proceeding in. Again, this was the scene just a short time ago. President Macron, when he speaks, is expected to talk about France, Notre Dame, its significance spiritually, its significance on not just here in Paris, of course, but on the global stage as well. Joined now by my friend and colleague, Kelly Kobiea. You've watched this renovation. You've been a part of the team of reporters who've been inside over the last 5 years as well. We should probably let our viewers and our listeners know right now what's happening, the ringing of the bells here. This is the second time that we've heard these bells ring. Let's just start with what this moment means for the French people, what this means for the world as well. What does this all symbolize?
I mean, this is an icon that is so important for Western culture, for Western religion, for Christianity, Roman Catholicism, for the faithful around the world. For France in particular, this cathedral sits at the heart of Paris. All distances are measured from this cathedral. It is also the soul of France. This has been the stage for so many historic events for the people of France, from the coronations of kings, marriages, the liberation of France. It's always played a part somewhere in France's history, and it's also been a big unifying project for this country. This country is very divided politically. This is something that people could find as a unifying moment.
As we're having this discussion inside Notre Dame right now, perhaps you just saw a procession of firefighters, a procession as well of some of the officials who were part of the rescue effort that day. There was just a video played inside the cathedral as well, honoring them. And on the outside of the cathedral, I believe you also, a few moments ago, you could see merci. Of course, thank you. Thank you to all of, not just the firefighters and the first responders that day. There's been a fair amount of reporting on that human chain of folks that we saw who were passing some of the relics from inside the cathedral hand to hand to get them out to safety roughly 5 years ago. As you might imagine, applause inside Notre Dame. We can tell you outside on the streets as well, the thousands of Parisians who have lined the River Seine on this rainy night, they are also applauding and have been applauding right now for several minutes as they continue to show the faces of the heroes from that day here in Paris some 5 years ago. Sustained applause there. Again, sustained applause there inside the newly renovated Notre Dame. All of those firefighters who helped save the cathedral that day, a number of the first responders as well, being thanked by the diplomats and the clergy inside, and the ordinary Parisians who are lining these streets as well. I want to bring in Bishop Robert Barron now. Bishop Barron is the bishop of the Diocese of Winona, Rochester in Minnesota, also the founder of the Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. Bishop, thank you so much for your time tonight, this afternoon there in Minnesota. I do know that you have actually given tours here at Notre Dame. You know this cathedral better than most. To Kelly's point from just a few moments ago, this is beyond spiritual for a lot of folks, what Notre Dame represents. What does it represent to you, Bishop?
Well, first, it's a joy to see these pictures, I must say. As you mentioned, this place means a great deal to me. I spent 3 years living in Paris as a doctoral student. I lived about a 15-minute walk from Notre Dame. I gave those tours every Wednesday at noon to English-speaking tourists, and there were always lots of English-speaking tourists. And I used that building as a kind of visual aid to preach the gospel. So to see it restored so beautifully is just is wonderful. I think what it means is it speaks of God. I think when that cathedral was in flames, a lot of people sensed a loss of our connection to the most important reality. And that to see it restored here and speaking its truth, it just lifts people's hearts and minds to God. I think that's even if people can't fully articulate it, I believe that's what is giving them such a sense of joy and uplift.
Bishop, right now, as a lot of folks can probably see, it's a musical interlude. There will be, as you might imagine, a fair amount of music played throughout the ceremony. We're told it's going to last about 2 hours. We're also told that a message from Pope Francis is expected to be read at some point here near the beginning of the ceremony as well. Bishop, you know, for folks who have not been blessed with the opportunity to spend some time inside this sacred space, inside Notre Dame, what is the most striking part to you? What was the most striking part architecturally?
I'll tell you, when I first arrived in Paris, 1989, I was jet-lagged and tired, and I just made my way to Notre Dame. I knew roughly where it was. I'd never been there before. And I entered the cathedral, I went up the main aisle, and I saw the North Rose window. It's right near where those gentlemen are playing right now. And I stood there for probably a half hour, just gazing at that window. And I came back every single day until I went home at Christmas to stand in front of that window. The one you see there is the South Rose, but the North Rose, and they're both splendid, but there was something so riveting to me about it, the beauty of it and how it speaks of the well-ordered soul. That's the feature that most galvanized me. And when I gave the tours, I would always spend a lot of time with those rose windows. They're very powerfully articulated as spiritual symbols.
There are going to be a number of moving moments during this ceremony. We're going to try to bring most of them to you. One of the things that a lot of folks have talked about this week as we look at the seating, by the way, always something that folks take note of in settings like this. We can tell you that President-elect Trump is seated between President Macron. We can tell you that Dr. Biden is in front of the president-elect. On the other side of President-elect Trump is the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, as well. Amazingly, among the things that survived that fire some 5 years ago, there's this almost life-size statue of the Virgin Mary that survived. Also, the 8,000 pipe organ, that famous organ inside Notre Dame, it survived. The pipes, of course, were contaminated. All of those pipes had to be cleaned one by one. One of the moving moments that we're going to share with you over the course of the next hour, the reawakening of that beautiful organ as we continue to watch and listen to some of this musical interlude. After the interlude, we're told President Macron will be addressing those who have assembled here. Bishop, tomorrow, tonight, of course, we'll have this ceremony, this official ceremony, but tomorrow we're told will be more of a spiritual reopening, if you will. What more can you tell us about what we can expect to see and hear tomorrow here?
Well, tomorrow will be the first Mass celebrated in the fully restored Notre Dame, and it just makes the point that the whole purpose of that building, really, is to house the liturgy of the Church. So the Mass is the highest form of prayer that we have in the Catholic tradition, and that's why the building exists. It's not just a decorative space. It's meant to house and to highlight the spiritual significance of the Mass. So for the Catholic world, of course, that's the most important part of this restoration.
Bishop, stand by. I want to bring Kelly Kobiea back in for a moment as well, because Kelly, what we're getting a glimpse of right now is a Notre Dame that has been not just renovated, but in some cases fully restored. It really is, for those of us who've had the opportunity to go inside that cathedral, it's a lot brighter than it was.
It is a lot brighter than it was, and that's because about the equivalent of 10 acres of stone had to be cleaned inside the cathedral. When you think about what, along with these beautiful works of art that we're seeing now, when you think of what Notre Dame looked like before the fire, the walls were very dark, the stone was dark, all of it covered in centuries, really, of soot from candles, from burning coal, from burning fires. So much of the ceiling had collapsed that they had to rebuild it with stone. When you put in white, bright stone in one place, you're going to need to have white, bright stone everywhere. And so, you know, some of the workers that we spoke to, they literally had to clean every square inch of that cathedral from centuries of dust and ash, not just the damage from the fire, but the damage and the life and the, you know, the evidence of life lived over centuries. We spoke to one art restoration expert who said that she and her team of about 30 spent 4 years restoring the murals, the floors, and other works of art down to the last tiny mosaic tile.
Wow.
Everything was cleaned. It's an incredible undertaking, not just the rebuilding of the structure, but the remaking of the interior.
Right now, we want to take you back to a moment that just played out. A ritual to behold, for sure. It played out just before we came on the air here in Paris. The Archbishop of Paris, Archbishop Ulrich, tapping on the massive doors 3 times with his bishop's staff. A choir inside answering, symbolizing the dialogue between a worshiper and God. At that point, the doors, they opened. The cathedral choir once again filled Notre Dame with song. But again, it all started with the tolling of Notre Dame's famous bells. Take a look. There was audible applause here in the streets of Paris as that bell started ringing in earnest for the first time in 5 years, Kelly.
Yeah, the largest of the Notre Dame bells. All of them are named. That particular bell is named Emmanuel. None of the bells actually were damaged in the fire, but the 8 bells in the North Tower did have to be removed. You might remember when the fire was raging through the cathedral, it came very close to that North Tower. It was a critical moment in the fire. The firefighters running up, trying to stop the flames, because had they reached the North Tower, that tower would have become weakened, the bells would have fallen, and it could have collapsed the entire cathedral. The bells were removed, they were cleaned, they were brought back, and they are now all back in place, retuned, sounding again over Paris.
Right now we are watching this procession of clergy from around the world, and again we are waiting for the Archbishop of Paris, Archbishop Laurent Ulrich, who will again be knocking on that massive door just moments from now. You'll notice he's also holding a wooden staff. You see the staff there. That staff is significant for a number of reasons. Chief among them, it is made from wood from one of the beams inside this cathedral that somehow survived that massive fire 5 years ago. Let's listen in as the Archbishop of Paris approaches the door to Notre Dame.
Frères et sœurs, entrons maintenant dans Notre-Dame. C'est elle qui nous rassemble. C'est elle que nous aimons. C'est elle qui
Let's bring back Bishop Robert Barron for a moment to sort of guide us through what we are seeing and hearing right now and what's going to happen next. Bishop, what can you tell us?
Well, first of all, the beauty of this scene and how it just evokes the ages, doesn't it? We could probably witness a scene like this back in the Middle Ages. But he's preparing now to formally enter the cathedral. Something you notice there, the French speakers, that he's addressing the building in a way, Notre Dame, but really he's addressing Our Lady. And he's saying, you're the one who brings us together. That was something typical in the Middle Ages, is they would almost personify a building like this, that this was the presence of Our Lady to her people. And so it was present there in the way he addressed the crowd. And now what he's doing, this is something that's pretty typical in the Catholic world. When a bishop takes possession of his cathedral, we say, he comes into his diocese, and this is the gesture that he does. So he's taking possession again of his cathedral after this 5-year hiatus.
Bishop, let's listen in.
Notre-Dame, Mère très aimante, ouvre tes portes pour nous aider à chercher l'amour et la vérité, la justice et la paix. Notre-Dame, témoin de l'espérance, ouvre tes portes pour que brille sur nos vies la lumière de la miséricorde.
The Archbishop has knocked twice. The third time will be the charm. Upon this next knock and the response from the choir inside, those massive doors will open. My goodness, what a truly beautiful scene inside Notre Dame there. They do pomp and circumstance right here, I'll tell you that much. As we look live now inside, we saw the procession. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke for roughly 15 minutes or so, and now we are watching the recession of sorts here, this recession out of Notre Dame by members of the clergy, led by the Archbishop there. We can tell you that after President Macron finished his speech, there was a standing ovation inside. He proceeded back to his seat, and the first hand that he shook was that of President-elect Donald Trump. Right now, they are approaching the baptistry. Bishop, for those of us not as familiar with the Catholic Church and the significance of some of these items, explain the baptistry for us, sir, if you can.
Well, what we're seeing here, they're just coming in for a kind of a modified Vespers service or evening prayer of service that will involve the Psalms and various responses, probably a short reading. The Magnificat, I understand, the great hymn of Mary, which is associated with Vespers in the church. So we're just kind of processing in for the beginning of Vespers. I'm just struck by how it looks like a different building, and that's what the Gothic builders wanted. They wanted a building that's flooded with light. Light was for them the symbol of God, and they wanted more and more light into these buildings. So you can see what they wanted, where we associate the Gothic churches with dingy, dark interiors, but just the contrary. This is what they wanted.
And we're actually watching the banners being carried from all of the different parishes around Paris. From what we understand, a parish priest as well as a couple of worshipers from all of the parishes in Paris were invited to this grand reopening. So all of that beautiful pageantry is also symbolic of the Roman Catholic community in Paris taking part in this great reopening.
Kelly, you've also done some reporting on what they are wearing as well, and the significance of that. What more can you tell us about
That's right. Every single detail was planned for this. The vestments were designed by a French fashion designer who collaborates a lot with pop royalty like Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Jean-Marc Castelbajac. And his idea for the design of the vestments was to sort of mirror in a very modern way the stained glass windows of Notre Dame Cathedral. So when you see the splash of color, that's supposed to reflect the colors of Notre Dame, the grand cross on the vestments, again representative of the cross in Notre Dame. A lot of symbolism around those vestments. The white is sort of a creamy white, and again echoes the stone, the cleaned limestone, that brilliant limestone in the cathedral. Every single part of this cathedral was spruced up, shall we say. It's probably not the right word.
Yeah, I think spruced up works.
We've got new furniture. There you see the bishop's mitre. You see a new design there, all very modern, sort of Mondrian take on priest vestments and holy vestments. Even the Archbishop's seat, which hopefully Bishop Barron can help me with the name of it, has been recreated. It's a bronze seat, and it has been designed especially for this new Notre Dame and this particular reopening, and we'll see him approach it
That's
soon.
of course the cathedra, Latin for seat, chair. And that's why this is a cathedral church, because the bishop teaches officially from that chair. It's a very important symbol within a cathedral, is the bishop's chair.
And why is that, Bishop Barron?
Well, that's why it's there. I mean, so the chair symbolizes his teaching authority, his authority over the diocese. And so it's the reason why that cathedral exists is to be, a setting for his rule over the diocese.
You can sort of see some of those stained glass windows as we watch this procession. Probably not as brightly as you would see them in the daytime, but you can get glimpses of them there. And the stained glass windows also were not damaged during the fire, but once again you had centuries upon centuries of dust and soot. And there was another aspect of the damage from the fire. Because the lead roof collapsed into the cathedral, there was lead dust throughout. So when the workers went in, they had to be incredibly careful. Even when we went in, we all had to don complete suits. We had to have caps on our heads. We had to shower before we went in and when we left.
Oh, wow.
All because of the contamination of lead dust. So those windows had to be removed. Many of them had to be removed. They were very carefully cleaned and then placed back together, the glass placed back into the panes and then brought back into the cathedral to be reinstalled with the help, by the way, of experts from Germany. This was not just a French project, this was an international project.
Hey, Kelly, I read this week that they did install several additional stained glass windows as well. Do we know what the thinking behind that was? Or?
Well, Notre Dame had not had a renovation since the 1800s. And so there was damage to some windows. They needed to take this opportunity, really, as the whole cathedral was being renovated, to repair some of the things that needed repair and had needed repair for many decades. It really was a top-to-tail.
And when that fire broke out in 2019, the cathedral was actually in the midst of a renovation.
That's right.
In the midst of quite the facelift before that fire. What folks at home cannot see right now are the thousands of Parisians who are lining these streets outside this church. Some of the smarter ones, the luckier ones, have umbrellas. It is windy and quite chilly here in Paris, but that has not stopped Parisians from literally as far as the eye can see. It does sort of remind me of the scene several months ago during the opening ceremonies of the Olympics here, where you had, again, ordinary Parisians out in the rain just to get a glimpse at history.
I think people just want to be close to this place.
Yes.
Which is so important to Paris, so important to France, so important to the people who live here and who are from here. They can't see inside the cathedral right now, but they're huge screens perched above the Seine so they can follow along with the ceremony. And I think people just want to be in this space. They want to hear the bells for themselves, soak up the sentiment here.
Et de ceux de la semaine dernière qui traduisent votre reconnaissance à tous ceux qui ont sauvegardé cet édifice au moment de l'incendie, les pompiers de Paris sous la garde du général Gallet et ceux qui ont travaillé à ce chantier incroyable. Les 250 entreprises au grand complet, le personnel de l'établissement public Rebâtir Notre-Dame de Paris, aujourd'hui sous la responsabilité de M. Philippe Jost, et les équipes de la cathédrale, conduites par Monseigneur Olivier Ribadeau-Dumas. Tous ont travaillé de grand cœur, mais aussi avec un effort permanent et de longue haleine.
Bishop Robert Barron back with us now. Bishop, next we are expecting the awakening of the organ. Again, this is the restored organ, nearly 40 feet wide, 32 feet tall, some 8,000 pipes. Again, it was not destroyed, thankfully, during the fire, but those pipes were contaminated. Let's talk a little bit about the significance of this grand organ.
Oh, I remember being at Notre Dame, and when that organ plays, it was the whole earth would shake. I mean, it's extraordinary sound, and I think it's the way the cathedral speaks. I talked about the personification of the cathedral, and you see the beauty in the stained glass, you see the visual beauty, but then there's this beauty that you can hear. The whole cathedral sings, both visually and then aurally, you know. So I think it's just part of the way the church uses beauty to give praise to God. But it's one of the most extraordinary aesthetic experiences I've ever had, is to be in that place, hearing that organ and the ground shaking. I was happy to see Cardinal Dolan is there from New York, signaling, the international interest in this event.
We were fortunate enough to spend some time with Cardinal Dolan yesterday. He told me that this is going to be the first time he has been in the new Notre Dame. There had been a number of donors and a number of the political elite here in France who had been given private tours ahead. But this is Cardinal Dolan's first time inside. It should also be noted here, and President Macron just talked about this. He thanked the hundreds of thousands of donors from all over the world who contributed nearly $1 billion to bring this cathedral back to life. No surprise that it was the people of France who led that effort, but right behind them, the United States of America, contributing nearly $60 million to restore Notre Dame. Individuals, corporations, writing big checks, writing small checks as well. The gentleman who led the effort, he told a great story of a woman in the Midwest who was in an assisted living facility who watched Notre Dame burn some 5 years ago. She was so moved by it. She sent a check and the letter a letter talking about the significance of the cathedral to her and her Catholic faith. The check, $10. And Michel, again, the gentleman leading the fundraising effort over the last 5 years, he said that he had gotten over the years just tens of thousands of letters like that and small checks like that, people who had been to Notre Dame, and a lot of folks who'd never been inside, a lot of folks who were just moved to try and do something.
That's a lovely story. I think so many of us were affected 5 years ago, and our hearts were broken by this fire and what it seemed to portend, the destruction of this place. So I get that. I get people's visceral reaction to do something, to restore Notre Dame.
Bishop, stand by for me. This is a note from Pope Francis, and I believe we have our translator standing by as well.
Nous avons encore tous en mémoire la terrible incendie
None of us have forgotten the terrible fire 5 years ago that gravely jeopardized the building. There was a real danger of seeing a masterpiece of faith and Christian architecture disappear, an earthly testimony to our faith. And that fear, that sadness has given place to hope and joy today. My greetings to all, especially the firefighters who worked courageously to save this historic monument from destruction. I welcome the determined commitment of the public authorities and the huge wave of generosity from throughout the world that contributed to this restoration. It is a sign not only of our commitment to art, history, and this is all the more encouraging, the holy and symbolic value of this building, which is widely recognized, from the smallest to the greatest elements. I also welcome the remarkable work of many different professions who have dedicated the best of themselves to rediscover the splendor of Notre Dame. It is wonderful that the skills and know-how of the past have been kept and even nurtured. And what's even better is that many workers and craftspeople were able to live this adventure of restoring Notre Dame from a spiritual perspective. They embarked on a voyage of rediscovery of the work of their fathers and forefathers, returning a masterpiece to life. So, let us see the meaning of this renewal of Notre Dame be a symbol for the renewal of the Church in France. I invite all of the faithful returning with joy to this church, to this cathedral, to feel a genuine pride at rediscovering their heritage. To the faithful of Paris and France, this cathedral, inhabited by the Spirit of our Lord, is yours. You are the lifeblood. Those who preceded you in your faith built it for you. The innumerable symbols and works of art are there to guide you more safely towards your encounter with the Lord. Further, Notre Dame will soon be visited by huge crowds from all backgrounds, all religions, languages, and cultures, rediscovering Notre Dame and through it finding joy and wealth in their own lives. The doors will be open, and I am sure that Notre Dame will receive all comers generously.
de la communauté chrétienne
as a reflection of the Christian community and the peace
ressentir la joie de connaître
which rests
et d'aimer
within
le
it.
Seigneur qui se fait proximité.
Let the peace of the presence of God, the compassion and the tenderness
Levant les
reach
yeux vers ces
everybody.
voûtes qui ont
As
retrouvé
we
la
raise our
lumière,
eyes to the
partagez
vaults
ce
that have
même
rediscovered their radiance, let us share this moment of hope.
implorant sur l'Église de France,
I
sur tout le peuple français,
hope that the Church
la
of
protection
France
de Notre-Dame
and
de
all
Paris. Je vous donne
the
de
people
grands
of
cœurs,
France
ainsi
will
qu'à
benefit
toutes
from
les
the
personnes
protection
présentes, la
of Our
bénédiction.
Lady of Paris, Notre Dame.
François.
And it is with a full heart that I send you my blessings. Pope Francis. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit, la
Of the
paix
congregation,
soit
in the
avec
name
vous.
of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the peace be with you.
Notre-Dame a connu l'absence, aujourd'hui elle
Our
retrouve la
Lady
présence de
has been
ceux
absent.
et celles qu'elle rassemble.
Today, it feels the presence
Notre-Dame
of
a
those
connu
who
les
have come
ténèbres,
together.
aujourd'hui elle retrouve la lumière.
Notre Dame
qui la
has
fait
known
resplendir
darkness.
et qui
Today, it
éclaire nos vies.
rediscovers radiant light,
Notre-Dame a connu le silence.
which
Aujourd'hui elle
shines on our
retrouve la joie
lives.
des chants et de la
Notre Dame
musique.
has known silence. Today, it
la
rediscovers the
joie de
joy
la
of
louange
voices
qui
and
monte vers
music
Dieu.
and praise
C'est
to
pourquoi
God.
je vais maintenant
And
demander à
that is
Dieu
why I will
de
now
bénir cet
ask
orgue.
God to
Se
bless
réveillant de son sommeil,
this
qu'il porte
organ,
notre louange et
awaking
chante
it
la
from
gloire de
its
Dieu.
sleep, so that it can sing the praise to God.
Seigneur notre Dieu, beauté toujours ancienne et toujours
Our
nouvelle,
Lord,
ta sagesse garde
your
l'univers dans
ancient
l'harmonie,
and
ta
universal
grâce donne à
beauty
la terre sa beauté.
gives
À toi la
our
louange
earth its
incessante du cœur
beauty.
des anges, qui contemplent la splendeur de ta
To
face.
you, the beauty from the
À toi
hearts of
le chant des
angels,
étoiles,
the splendor of
dans
the
leur course
stars,
régulière à travers l'univers.
which plot their
À
regular
toi
path through
l'acclamation
our
unanime des
universe.
rachetés qui te chantent.
Our
Dieu
acclamation to
dans
you
leur cœur,
from those who
de leurs
carry
lèvres,
the
par leur
song of holy God in their hearts
Nous aussi, ton peuple
and
saint
express it
rassemblé
through
dans
their
cette
lives.
cathédrale, nous voulons joindre nos
We
voix
gathered here in
à
this
ce
cathedral
concert
want to add
universel.
our voice
Et pour que notre chant
to this
qui monte vers toi
universal
soit
harmony,
plus digne de ta gloire,
and for our
nous te
voices to
demandons
be
de bénir cet orgue
more worthy of
pour
your
qu'il
glory as they
accomplisse de
rise to
son
you. We
harmonie
ask you
nos louanges et
to
nos
bless
prières,
this organ
et que
so
nos
that it
cœurs
can
te
accompany
chantent
our
dans l'Esprit
praise,
Saint.
our prayers,
Par le Christ notre
and join you in the
Seigneur.
Spirit of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Bishop Barron, it would seem as if we are now just moments away from the reawakening of that magical 8,000 pipe organ that is, in so many ways, the heart of Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was a lovely blessing and awakening the voice of it, as you say. And that beautiful letter from the Pope, too, it was very moving. Some wondered why the Pope wasn't there, and he said, I read this somewhere, that he wanted Notre Dame to be the star of this event and that his own presence might draw too much attention to him. And I think that probably was a good decision. But he made Notre Dame the star.
Orgue, instrument sacré, célèbre Jésus notre Seigneur, mort et ressuscité pour nous,
who died and was resurrected for us.
Orgue, instrument sacré,
Organ,
chante l'Esprit Saint,
sacred instrument.
qui anime nos vies,
Sing the Holy
du
Spirit
souffle de
that
Dieu.
animates our life with the breath of God.
So just to sort of give you a sense of what's happening here, this call and response, this back and forth between the Archbishop and the newly awakened organ, that was the third time that it's happened. It's going to happen 5 more times, 8 times in total. He reads, organist plays. There was some reporting a few days ago, believe it or not, the organists, and there are a number of different organists that are playing, they said that they are playing music based on what they are hearing in terms of the reading. They are being led, if you will, by the Holy Spirit of sorts in terms of deciding what to play and how to play it. In other words, they're riffing.
I'm just struck by this personification. We heard it when Notre Dame was addressed as a person, and the organ is being addressed as a person and then responding with its own voice. It's kind of a lovely, very medieval sensibility on display there.
Orgue, instrument sacré,
Organ, holy
fais
instrument.
entrer l'assemblée des fidèles dans l'action de
Allow
grâce
the
du
faithful to
Christ.
enter into the acts of grace of Christ.
Bishop Robert Barron has been with me along with Kelly Kobiea for nearly an hour now. Bishop, I'll start with you here as we continue to listen to the prayers, listen to that beautiful organ now, singing once again, if you will, the gleaming interior of Notre Dame. What strikes you, Bishop Barron? What strikes you most based on what you've seen and heard over the last 45 minutes or so?
You know, it's been in my heart. I mean, first, how moving these images are, but I keep thinking of who Notre Dame is. That all this splendor, all this beauty is pointing toward this young Jewish girl, Mary, from Nazareth in Galilee, who becomes, we believe, the Mother of God. And so it's that very simple woman who said yes to the Lord, who's being celebrated with all of this magnificent splendor. And she's been there at the heart of Paris now for nearly 900 years. And tonight it's being renewed. So my mind goes back to Mary herself, Notre Dame, Our Lady.
Kelly Kobiea, as we look at that spire that sits between the two towers here, one of the most moving moments for me 5 years ago was when that spire came tumbling down during the course of the fire. That spire has been fully restored, sits high atop Notre Dame. You made a very interesting point a few moments ago. Had it not been for the fire that nearly destroyed one of the world's most cherished landmarks, we might not have seen the robust renovation and restoration that we've seen.
That's right. Notre Dame was in real trouble more than 5 years ago. Stone was actually falling from the building. They were struggling to get the money together to make the repairs that they needed to make, the first repairs since the 1800s. When the world saw this great cathedral on fire that night in April of 2019, everyone came together to help. The money poured in, millions, tens of millions of dollars poured in a very fast manner. And that's what gave Notre Dame life again. People were sort of awakened to the fact that it was in trouble, that this glorious building was in serious trouble of disappearing. So yeah, in a way, it's a strange irony that this fire that was so hard for so many of us to watch actually did allow for the rebirth of this cathedral, and it was in dire, dire need of help before the fire.
It is one of the few things in the world that unites just about everyone, regardless of faith or race or class, or even, it doesn't matter where you live. If you've been inside that cathedral, you've been moved. And we have been moved tonight in so many ways. We stand here on these wet, cold streets in Paris, along with thousands of others, watching this beautiful building, more than a building, this beautiful being, to your point, Bishop, come back to life. A reminder that when we all work together, we can still do great things as a country and as a world. That is going to conclude our coverage of the reopening ceremony of Notre Dame Cathedral. But of course, you can watch Kelly's special documentary, Out of the Ashes, the comeback of Notre Dame. That's coming up next year on NBC News. Now, I'll be back with a full wrap-up tonight on Nightly News. But for now, Craig Melvin here alongside Kelly Kobiea in Paris, the city of light, glowing bright once again. Thank you for watching.
Que le Seigneur, qui est digne de toute louange, nous accorde de le chanter sur terre, de bouche, de cœur et par toute notre vie, et qu'il nous donne de chanter au ciel le cantique nouveau éternellement. Par le Christ notre Seigneur.
Lecture de la lettre de saint Paul, apôtre aux Éphésiens. Ainsi donc, vous n'êtes plus des étrangers, ni des gens de passage. Vous êtes concitoyens des saints. Vous êtes membres de la famille de Dieu. Car vous avez été intégrés dans la construction qui a pour fondation les apôtres et les prophètes. Et la pierre angulaire, c'est le Christ Jésus lui-même. En lui, toute la construction s'élève harmonieusement pour devenir un temple saint dans le Seigneur. En lui, vous êtes vous aussi les éléments d'une même construction pour devenir une demeure de Dieu par l'Esprit Saint.
C'est une vraie louange que nous adressons à Dieu, le Père de tous, en cette soirée bénie. Nous avons été dans l'attente de ce jour depuis 5 années et nous y sommes. Nous rendons grâce pour ce chantier si incroyable, mené avec grande énergie, mais aussi grande volonté de toutes les parties prenantes de le faire réussir, pour la joie de tous à l'évidence. Pour la satisfaction d'avoir relevé un défi inouï. Et il ne faut pas manquer de le dire pour le renom de la France, dont les entreprises ont démontré leur immense savoir-faire en matière de restauration de l'ancien. Une belle louange à Dieu qui nous a donné de rendre possible ce qui a priori ne le paraissait pas. Nous l'avons entendu dans le psaume. De la poussière, il relève le faible, il retire le pauvre de la cendre pour qu'il siège parmi les princes de son peuple. En effet, ce ne sont pas seulement les princes, les chefs, les notables qui ont leur place dans l'Église. Nous voulons qu'en elle puissent venir ceux qui habituellement ne s'en sentent pas dignes. Tant d'hommes et de femmes ne pensent pas qu'ils soient invités à entrer dans une église, parce qu'ils croient que l'église est réservée à ceux qui la fréquentent depuis toujours, à ceux qui connaissent les codes qu'on y respecte, à ceux qui savent chanter, à ceux qui pourront donner leur offrande, à ceux qui sont dans la droite ligne morale, à ceux qui ont des relations. La pierre angulaire de cet édifice, puisque le mot « église » est à la fois le nom d'un bâtiment et celui d'une communauté, c'est le Christ, comme le dit l'apôtre aux chrétiens de la ville d'Éphèse, toute jeune communauté chrétienne qu'il a vu grandir et se développer comme une belle fraternité de croyants. Et ceci signifie que la porte est ouverte à tous, même s'il est de passage, même s'il est un étranger, même s'il n'est pas un habitué. Ici, bien sûr, il pourra rester dans sa condition, ne pas devenir un fidèle du Christ et demeurer comme un visiteur qui trouve en ce lieu beauté, ravissement, recueillement, paix intérieure et sentiment d'une présence bénéfique, rassurante. Mais aussi le Christ lui ouvrira la porte de son cœur. Dieu a pris chair humaine de la Vierge Marie que nous honorons ici. Cette maison, justement, cette église insigne, cette cathédrale toute harmonieuse dans ses proportions et tout entière tournée vers le mystère du Christ, est le signe de la joie immense des croyants et de millions d'hommes et de femmes, d'enfants, de vieillards, de malades, de personnes avec handicap. Cette Église, cette cathédrale qui parle à tant de monde, elle a traversé les siècles, gardant son identité bien reconnaissable. Elle s'est aussi enrichie au long des siècles d'expressions qui l'ont rendue familière à chaque époque. Et par un mystère étonnant, elle a trouvé en notre siècle une renommée qui a justifié ce soin que nous prenons d'elle. Elle est comme un message qui traverse les époques et les frontières. Vous qui entrez ici, soyez bienvenus, que vous soyez chrétiens ou non, croyants ou non. La Vierge Marie vous tend ses bras, vous écoute et vous présente son Fils Jésus, à qui soit tout honneur et toute gloire, aujourd'hui et pour tous les siècles. Élargissons notre prière à la mesure du cœur de Dieu et à l'intercession de la Vierge Marie, présentons-lui les intentions de tous nos frères et sœurs.
Pour tous ceux et celles qui, au long des 5 dernières années, ont œuvré au relèvement de Notre Dame, pour que tous ceux qui viendront en cette cathédrale puissent goûter et voir la beauté et la bonté de Dieu, prions le Seigneur. Dans leur corps ou dans leur âme, afin qu'à l'intercession de Saint Denis et de Sainte Geneviève, patron de Paris, ils trouvent le réconfort dans les épreuves et des frères pour les épauler. Prions le Seigneur. De la terre, pour ceux qui exercent la lourde charge de les gouverner et pour ceux qui subissent les horreurs de la guerre, afin que tous ensemble, nous recherchions la justice et les voies de la fraternité. Prions le Seigneur. Répandue à travers le monde entier, afin qu'éclairée par la parole de vérité et conduite par l'esprit de sainteté, elle ne cesse de proclamer les merveilles de Dieu pour les hommes. Prions le Seigneur. Nous sachions nous émerveiller de la splendeur de la création qui nous est confiée, pour que nous la respections et la transmettions aux générations futures. Prions le Seigneur.
Praeceptis salutaribus moniti, et divina institutione formati, odemus dicere. Pater noster, qui et in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, Notre Père, tu nous donnes ce jour de joie pour fêter l'ouverture de notre cathédrale. À l'intercession de la Vierge Marie, Notre-Dame et notre Mère, fais-nous demeurer en ta présence, pour que nos cœurs s'ouvrent à toi et à notre prochain, jusqu'au jour où tous rassemblés, nous te bénirons éternellement. Par Jésus-Christ, ton Fils, notre Seigneur, qui vis et règne avec toi dans l'unité du Saint-Esprit, Dieu pour les siècles des siècles. Le Seigneur soit avec vous. Que le nom du Seigneur soit béni. Notre secours est dans le nom du Seigneur. Et que Dieu Tout-Puissant et Miséricordieux vous bénisse et vous garde, le Père, le Fils et le Saint-Esprit.
Bénissons le Seigneur.
Nous rendons grâce à Dieu. Te Deum laudamus.
passe.